Hi everyone, I'm Mary Claveries, co-host of a new leadership series called Brain Matters, where we'll be talking about all things leadership, team effectiveness, and how you can apply whole brain thinking. Today I'm interviewing my co-host, Dr. Jay Chopra. Jay is an experienced and certified executive coach and also has a PhD in science. We'll be speaking about the company that he co-founded, Making Shift Happen, and also about whole brain thinking, what it is and why you need it in today's world. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Hi everyone, I'm here with Dr. Jay Chopra, co-founder of Making Shift Happen. And today we're going to be looking into the whole brain model and what is whole brain thinking from Herman International. Hi Jay.
Hey Mary, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. We're going to jump right in to whole brain thinking, but first I'd like to get a little background on Making Shift Happen, and we'll do it with a whole brain approach. So what is Making Shift Happen?
Well, we're a boutique consultancy, Mary. We help people to develop the agility ability. So we help people to become more agile. And we do this by helping organizations to become more innovative, more collaborative, help develop inspirational leaders, and also develop well-being within organizations. The unique thing, I guess, about what we do is that we do everything we do in a whole brain way. So everything's in a completely whole brain way, which uses the best of left brain and right brain to create whole brain approaches to different organizational topics.
Excellent. And we're going to dive more into the whole brain thinking as well. Why do you do what you do?
So why we do what we do, Mary, is because, as you know, we operate in a highly complex business world now. We wake up with problems that we didn't have yesterday. So we need to be agile and flexible and adaptive to be able to solve problems that weren't there yesterday. So we as you know, we live in a VUCA world, right? Volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. It's a really complicated, complex environment. So being able to think and operate in agile, whole brain ways helps us to not only survive, but thrive in today's rapidly changing business world. So that's exactly why we do what we do.
Excellent. And can you tell us, who do you do this for?
Yeah, the majority of our clients, Mary, would be Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies, really looking to make change happen on a serious level. We would also do some work with small and medium enterprises and entrepreneurs, but our major client base would be large multinational organizations. And
how do you do this work?
Well, I can tell you how we don't do it, Mary, for sure. So what we don't do is kill people using PowerPoint. So death by PowerPoint is definitely not allowed. So we try to, we structure all our sessions to be quite innovative and edgy, and to allow us to have authentic, real conversations that lead to really good outcomes that can then be moved to action. And I guess those actions, once implemented, help improve performance and move the organization towards its vision and where it wants to be. So absolutely highly dynamic and engaging, and we try and make it fun with some serious tangible outcomes that can make shift happen, I guess, ultimately.
And I've been to your workshops. They're definitely engaging and not boring.
They're definitely not boring.
Well, thanks very much, Jay. We'll be getting into whole brain thinking and the dynamics behind it in our next session.
Fantastic. Thanks, Mary.
Thanks.
Sounds good.
Hi, everyone. We're back, and we're talking about whole brain thinking with Dr. Jay Chopra. Hey, Jay.
Hey, Mary. How are you?
Great, thanks. So I want to get started. Yeah. I'm just jumping right in.
Go for it.
So I wanted to get started with whole brain thinking and use the approach of the whole brain model. So I'll be posing you some questions.
All right.
You can share with our audience. So what is whole brain thinking?
Well, whole brain thinking was a concept originated by Ned Herman. So Ned Herman, he was originally head of engineering at GE. He became head of training. And while he was there, he developed this first order approximation to mental diversity. You can see it behind my back here. It splits the brain into 4 quadrants, right? So the upper left brain is what we call the rational self, very logical and objective. The lower left brain is what we call the safekeeping self, and or what I'd like to call it as well is like the project management self. So like organizing, sequencing, detailing, implementing. So that those blue and green quadrants behind me are the left brain. And then as you move over into the right brain, the upper right brain is what we call, I guess, the experimental or creative self. So it likes to be creative, innovative, long-term vision, strategy, etc. And then the lower right brain is what we call the feeling self, and it's all about, building positive relationships, building positive cultures, connecting with our customers to understand their needs, those types of focus areas. So that is what is the whole brain model. It's a metaphor for how our brains work, and it outlines in the left brain way and in the right brain way, but we become more effective when we use left and right brain together at work.
Yes, so important. So can you tell us from your perspective, why is this important?
Yeah, well, I've been using whole brain thinking for I guess the best part of maybe 6 or 7 or 8 years at this point. And the reason I use it in everything we do is that you get 4 levels of wow, I guess, with whole brain thinking. So the first level of wow is individual profile. So you can get a real understanding of, what your preference is. Do you prefer to think in a left brain way? Do you prefer to think in a right brain way? And what that means for how you lead and how you solve problems and how you collaborate with others. So you can get a really good personal action plan out of that to become more of a whole brain effective leader using the best of left and right brain. The second level of wow is a peer profile. So where you can look at it, say a manager and their direct report, and understand the different thinking styles and how that might manifest and what that means for their relationship, and where conflict may arise, and how they can almost circumvent that by having specific strategies in place to bring the best of both of them to that relationship. The third level of wow is in regards to teaming, and this is really important. So building whole brain teams, and this is where the real value, I think, of whole brain thinking as well, is in terms of a diversity and inclusion model. So in large teams and leadership teams, you can look at the diversity of thinking that's in the team, and how that diversity can be included for maximum effectiveness. And I really believe that when we understand the different diversities of thinking, and we learn how to build bridges, that's where we get maximum performance and effectiveness in the business world.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
The fourth level of wow, then I guess the final level of wow is all around application. So you can actually use this model to operate in different ways. So whether it's whole brain communications or whole brain strategies, or you can actually apply it into the day-to-day business world. So you find a new way to operate in a more effective fashion. So it can really help us, I guess, move from good to great. So that's the other piece. And I guess the big why for whole brain thinking is around what I said earlier, is that we live in a rapidly changing world. To be able to be agile, we need to be able to flex and stretch between the 4 different types of thinking. And the whole brain model is a very practical way, tangible way, easily implemented way of doing that.
Excellent. And who uses this model?
So it's used by 97% of the Fortune 100 companies. So again, big companies use it, but it's not to say it's only for big companies.
Right.
Whether it's 1 person or 2 people or 20,000 people, it's a very, very good model to help increase effectiveness and performance. So, it's used by a variety of companies really, but that is an impressive stat. I think 97% of the Fortune 100. So
yes, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
And how is it used?
Yeah, it's used on the various levels. I think I outlined earlier, Mary. I think like it's used for individual coaching. It's used for where there may be conflict in a pair. It's used where I use it most is to build effective teams, to really help teams to stretch and collaborate and meet each other halfway, so that they can be more effective in the goals that they're actually going after. And then the application piece is really the differentiator. So like when I show up at work in the morning and I need to send out an email, a simple thing can be like, what's my message? What's the why from a message, the who and the how, just like you're asking me the questions. Even that simple what, why, who and how, those 4 questions stretches to the 4 different parts of the brain. So what brings us to the upper left brain, why brings us to the upper right brain, who brings us to the lower right brain, and how brings us to the lower left brain. So we can actually help ourselves and others stretch in various ways on a daily basis, and it becomes a new way of operating. So whether it's a whole brain communication, or another example will be building a whole brain strategy, for example, Mary. So if you think of the 4 quadrants again, the blue quadrant behind me will be a current state analysis. So for a business, what's working well, where's there room for improvement? The upper right brain, then the yellow quadrant behind me, would be, well, what's the vision? So based on that current state analysis, what's the vision for where the organization is going in 3, 5, 10 years? Then when you come down into the red piece, it's all about, well, so what does the culture need to look like in that time frame to enable that business vision, and what capabilities and people do we need to be developing against that vision as well? And then the final bit is the green piece. It's the tactical plan, right? So the green piece is the action plan in terms of how do we move from the current state as a business to the future state, number one. And number two, how do we build the capabilities and culture that we've also aspired to in our whole brain strategic review. So that's another practical example of how you might use it specifically in strategy, where you look at the current state, the future state vision, the culture and capabilities that you want, and then the action plan to make it all happen. So it's a very, very good way to make sure you don't miss anything and that you're as effective as you can be in the work you're doing.
Excellent. Yeah, it's very thorough and complete and practical.
Absolutely. Very practical, very grounded. It's not this, intangible theory. It's very practical.
Mm-hmm. So you have an event coming up in early 2019. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, absolutely, Mary. We've got Anne Herman-Nadie coming to Croke Park, Dublin on March 6, 2019. Anne is Chief Thought Leader and Chair of the Board at Herman International. So we're really, really excited to have Anne coming for the event. She's a hugely inspirational lady. She's got an excellent TED Talk if people want to check that out. And we will post more information on the event in the comments below.
Excellent.
Thanks very much. Really looking forward to it. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Jay. Until next time.
Until next time, Mary. Looking forward to it.
Bye.
See ya.